Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a truly thrilling historical narrative. We're going to be looking at the adventurous sailor Christopher Columbus and how one single, daring voyage completely altered the entire trajectory of human history.
So let's ask ourselves a pretty fascinating question right off the bat. How exactly did one sailor's massive geographical mistake create the modern world we live in today? It's kind of mind-blowing to think about how a monumental miscalculation birthed our current reality. Well, let's unpack exactly how that happened.
Part 1. The Dream of India, setting sail across the Atlantic. Picture this. It's August 3rd, 1492. Columbus departs from Spain, taking with him three now legendary ships, the Santa Maria, the Nina, and the Pinta. But he wasn't doing this alone. He was accompanied by about 90 sailors. These were everyday men leaving their homes to embark on an incredibly perilous journey across a vast, untested ocean. Now, what drove them to take such a massive risk? Basically, a grand dream to cross the deep, terrifying waters of the Atlantic Ocean and reach India. Columbus had heard incredible tales of India, and he was completely consumed by the idea that he could navigate this ocean to reach it, and hey, perhaps even discover a new continent along the way. To survive those punishing Atlantic waves, they had to load up on a very strict survival diet. We're talking dry bread, salted meat, dried fish, and plenty of drinking water. These were heavy provisions meant for a very long, very grueling journey into the unknown. Which brings us to venturing into the unknown, the Canary Islands pit stop. See, after sailing a long time, fighting the waves without finding any land at all, their food supplies were rapidly diminishing. So they were forced to take shelter and a much-needed break at the nearby Canary Islands.
Looking at the timeline here, they originally departed Spain on August 3rd, but after resting and reloading those ships with more dry food at the Canary Islands, they set sail once again on September 6th, heading steadfastly west across the Atlantic. And as we'll see, it wouldn't be until October 12th that they'd finally sight new land. But getting from that September departure to October was an absolute nightmare. 36 days of terror, mutiny on the waves. Once they left the Canary Islands, they saw absolutely nothing. No new land, no continent, no trees, no plants, no animals. Just endless, rolling water. 36. For 36 continuous days, they sailed over the terrifying blue waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Can you imagine? The psychological toll of staring into an empty horizon for over a month was just absolutely devastating for the crew. Because of this, a severe sense of rebellion and extreme fright spread like wildfire among the 90 sailors. Men fell ill and absolute terror gripped the crew. They felt entirely hopeless, convinced they were just dreaming of a watery grave in this terrifying ocean. Things got so bad that a full-blown mutiny was brewing. The sailors pleaded desperately with their captain, saying, "Let us turn back. With whatever food we have left, perhaps somehow, risking our lives, we can return to the Canary Islands, load up on food again, and then return to Spain." They were literally begging to just go back to where they started. But the adventurous Columbus was incredibly stubborn. He completely ignored all these rebellious thoughts and the desperate pleas from his crew, forcing the Santa Maria, Nina, and Pinta to continue pushing swiftly westward. And that leads us to the great geographical mistake, the October 12th landfall. Fortunately for Columbus, just a few days later, on October 12th, they finally sighted new land. And the very same sailors who had wanted to rebel, who had fallen horribly ill, they immediately started dancing with sheer joy. But where were they exactly? To put into perspective, they had covered a staggering 6,000 to 7,000 kilometers from their starting point. After that terrible 36-day stretch, they had actually reached the Bahamas archipelago, which is not very far from modern-day Florida in the US. Now here is the huge gap between expectation and reality. Columbus fully expected that he was arriving in India, exactly as planned. But the reality? He had unknowingly landed on a completely new, massive continent. And this led to a massive, permanent historical misunderstanding. Upon disembarking and meeting the local indigenous Taino people, Columbus was just too stubborn to admit his geographical error. Because he still sadly believed he had actually come to India, he misnamed the local population Indians. That's a label born entirely from his own mistake. Which brings us to the birth of the modern world, a legacy born of error. Whatever the geographical reality was, Columbus rushed onto this new land with clear intent.
He was eagerly searching for money, pearls, and gold, and he wanted to plant the Spanish flag right there.
But his actions had a ripple effect way beyond his own search for wealth. That terrifying journey reshaped all of global history. It discovered a land from which the America of today would later be born, a nation that absolutely dominates the globe in technology, politics, and the economy. And all of it stems from one man's pursuit of India. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If a terrified crew and one sailor's massive geographical error created the modern world, what current mistakes are actively reshaping our future? It really makes you think about the accidental, completely unpredictable nature of human history, doesn't it? Keep questioning the world around you.